I have pleasure in opening the ordinary council meeting of the 26th of August 2025 at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I wish to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The video will appear in the council's website and YouTube channel. The public gallery will not be recorded unless accidentally, and only the participant in the meeting, namely a person asking questions at public question time, will be live streamed and recorded. If you wish to ask a question at public question time, your voice and image will be recorded and live streamed. If you do not consent to your voice and image being recorded and live streamed to the public, then you may need to leave the meeting. By staying at this meeting, you consent to your voice and image being live streamed and recorded. No other electronic, visual or audio recording device or instrument can be used to record the proceedings of this meeting without prior written permission from the council, as per the City of Belmont Standing Orders Local Law. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders, past, present and emerging. I further acknowledge their cultural heritage, beliefs, connection and relationship with this land which continues today. Councillor Kujitsky, will you please read aloud the affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on behalf of elected members present?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make this affirmation in good faith and declare that I will duly, faithfully, honestly and with integrity fulfil the duties of my office for all the people in the City of Belmont according to the best of my judgment and ability. I'll observe the City's Code of Conduct and Standing Orders to ensure efficient, effective and orderly decision-making within this forum.
Thank you, Councillor Kujitsky. Apologies and leave of absence. We have one apology, Mr. Murphy, Director of Infrastructure Services. There are no leave of absence. Will the Coordinator of Governance please advise of those declarations made to date, please? Any financial interests?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, no, we have received no declarations of financial interest for this evening.
Any disclosure of interest affecting impartiality?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, yes, I've received 2 declarations of interest affecting impartiality. Councillor Sessions for item 12.2, the Community Safety Strategy 2025 to 2030, as she is a member of the Community Safety Alliance. And from yourself, Mayor Rossi, item 12.2, the Community Safety Strategy, as Mayor Rossi is a member of the City of Belmont Community Safety Alliance Group and Neighbourhood Watch. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Announcements. There are no announcements this evening. The disclaimer. It is 6:33 p.m. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at the meeting tonight can be revoked pursuant to the Local Government Act of 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the City has been received. Declarations by members who have not given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers presently before the meeting. Are there any declarations to be made by councillors? There are none. Public question time. Response to questions taken on notice from the ordinary council meeting of the 22nd of July 2025 are noted in the agenda of Ms Harding, Mr Cardoso on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect and Ms G. It is 6:33 p.m. and open public question time and draw attention to the public gallery to the rules of public question time as written in question time form. I remind members of the public of the Standing Orders Local Law requirements for members of the public to extend due courtesy and respect to both councillors and employees. Please do not use inappropriate, objectionable or untruthful expressions or expressions that reflect adversely on the character or actions of councillors or employees. If any expression is deemed inappropriate, you'll be directed to withdraw the expression and apologise. If you do not comply, I will have to end your question. Lastly, I remind and caution everyone present at the meeting to refrain from making defamatory statements, especially if the proceedings are now live streamed. Under the City's Standing Orders, Local Law 2017, members of the public can ask up to 2 questions and have a maximum of 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. As presiding member tonight, I will allow up to 4 questions per person. Please note that sub-questions, being questions within questions, will be counted towards the total number of questions permitted. The question number and time limit is to allow a fair and equal opportunity for everyone to ask their questions before the proceedings continue. I have 2 members, or actually 4 members of the public giving prior notice to ask questions, there being Ms Hollins for personal questions, Ms Hollins on behalf of Bragg, Martin Condoso on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect. Are there anybody else wishing to ask a question? Could you call out your name, please? Anybody else? No, we'll move on. Could Ms Hollins please come forward? Please state your name and suburb. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. We were just sort of trying to organise the live stream. It wasn't working. Okay. Firstly, I don't give consent to be on camera, and any perceived consent's under duress. So, Bragg questions. At the last council meeting, Janet G asked how many staff are employed by the City of Belmont and how many live in Belmont. With respect to how many live in Belmont, the response was staff are recruited on merit regardless of whether they live in the City of Belmont or not. This is not an answer as to how many staff live in Belmont. So often I've come here and my questions have not been answered from the previous meeting. I have to repeat the question from the previous meeting and the response that you gave that didn't answer the question, and then I have to ask it again to make it easier for you to understand. So my question, why is it so many questions that are taken on notice are not answered when the response is received, and are they being properly checked before being sent to residents? And can you please answer the question asked by Janet G last month in respect of the numbers of staff living in Belmont?
Mr CEO, thank you.
Thank you, Worship. I suppose staff do try to respond in good faith with the responses they give to the types of questions that are here. I don't have the number of staff that actually work in the city at present, but I will take that on notice and I will provide that for Ms Hollins after the meeting, and certainly will be recorded in the minutes of the next meeting. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. Over the last few years, we've only had representation from 8 councillors, not 9, for probably a significant period of the last 3 to 4 years, and this is funded by the ratepayers. We had Councillor Sekula take 6 months off for unknown reasons, then Councillor VJ taking 6 months while he was waiting for the trial for his indecent assault charge, which subsequently resulted in the conviction, and then Councillor Power, who sadly was sick, and we lost Councillor Power. And then we, all this is allowed under the Local Government Act, so let's be clear on that. Then we had the resignation of Councillor Carter, the absence of representation, which has especially affected Central Ward, is concerning, and the wards who have councillors on paid time off are, in my opinion, disadvantaged, as one councillor has to carry the entire ward. So my question, in view of so much time off with councillors and the disadvantaged wards in terms of representation, should we reconsidering the number of councillors and ward boundaries, particularly now councillors can take 6 months off with no explanation at ratepayers' expense, as we've proven we can manage with just 8? Should we perhaps consider no wards and 7 councillors plus a mayor, for instance, and then all of the residents are represented by all councillors, as it would be much fairer if a councillor takes this time off in future to share the workload with the remaining 7, rather than how it is now when one councillor's got to pick up the workload.
Before I go to the CEO, I can only speak for myself, but as Mayor, I get people ringing me from Redcliffe, Cloverdale, and while, for example, when I was in West Ward councillor, I had often people ring me from South Ward. A South Ward councillor may get a question, used to quite often happen from East Ward or West Ward. So I don't know. We actually work for the whole city, but we might be the rep for that area, but ultimately we look after the whole city. But I will go to that interesting question about reducing the number of councillors. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I was about to say the same thing, that while they're elected in a ward, elected members represent the entire city, and that's just a requirement under the Act. There is a requirement periodically to review the ward boundaries and the number of councillors, and I'm not sure whether the director or the manager of governance can confirm. I think it may have been 2 years ago which that was done. And that's something that has to be done periodically, and the next time that's up for review, that's something that council can consider. Thank you, Worship.
Director of Corporate and Governance, I'm sure we'll be looking at that next time it comes up. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did review all the options in 2023, and we moved from 3 wards plus a populated mayor to 4 wards plus a populated mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, I would agree, Mayor Rossi, that you are known to respond to people.
Thank you. Next question.
With respect to that, obviously, since the last 2 years, we have only had the 8 councillors. Pretty much for that whole period, I think that would be fair to say. And with the rising costs of councillors and their benefits, you know, when will the next review be likely on that?
Director of Corporate and Governance, you have to answer the third question, please.
Look, I'm happy to take that question on notice and provide a response.
Thank you. Okay, my final Bragg question. During agenda briefing forums, councillors ask questions and some have to be obviously taken on notice. These questions and their answers are not recorded in the minutes. I had reason to contact a director after the last meeting to find out the answers to one of the questions that was asked. So my question is, how can this council and the individual councillors claim this is all about transparency here when sometimes it's extremely difficult to get answers, and at times when they're answered by the councillors at an ABF, why are they not responded and recorded in the minutes?
Director of Corporate and Governance, are you able to respond, please? Clarify that.
Thank you very much. We record all questions asked at public question time, and we also provide all responses, whether they're on the night or in the subsequent minutes. And all the people who ask questions and take on notice certainly get a letter from the city giving an outline of their response. So the answer is we record all minutes, all questions, and all responses are recorded either on the night or the following minutes.
Director of Corporate and Governance, unless I've heard it wrong, and please correct me, she's referring to the ABF. When councillors ask questions, she's asking,
that's correct.
Can the residents see the responses? Thank you.
Look, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and apologies, I only heard OCM, not ABF. However, we do record all the responses given by officers to questions from elected members, and we don't record the questions at this stage.
CEO wishes to add something?
Yeah, I think, just to clarify, obviously the minutes of the meeting need to reflect what actually happened at the meeting, not what happened after the meeting. And so it's important to note that the minutes that are taken here accurately reflect the discussion and the things that occurred at this meeting. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Your personal questions?
Okay. So, okay, I've been asking questions about standing orders, which are the rules of public question time, and the rules on the back of the public question form, which were not voted on by council, but we've discovered they were whipped up by the administration, which in my opinion is they have no standing. Furthermore, I've been told they're consistent with the standing orders, which is not an answer when I've specifically asked where in the Act or regulations does it state you can make up additional rules in conjunction with standing orders, which is documented as what I've been told. On the form, Rule L states, that's the public question time form, you might want to follow it. Questions to be asked at the meeting will be registered in order of receipt, and the priority for asking questions shall be firstly questions in which written notice has been given prior to the meeting, bracket, that is prior to 12 noon on the day immediately preceding the meeting, close bracket, and secondly, questions from the floor. The presiding member shall call upon members of the gallery who have not already submitted a question in writing or earlier registered their interest to ask a question. So the priority of asking questions shall be in accordance with the register. So my question, what standing order states the words prior to 12 months on the day immediately preceding the meeting, as this 12 noon wording was a pop-up when COVID was on, and unless you can provide the standing order which quotes these words, it would seem that we're just continuing on something here that's from COVID and not accurate and not consistent.
Get a response for you. I don't believe we're just making them up, but let's get clarification from the Director of Corporate and Governance, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that. There is no specific standing order. What the Act allows us to do is set procedures in place, which the form, which you quote, which I think is this particular form.
Correct, yes.
And these are the guides for people who come to the council who are not experienced public questioners such as yourself. And so instead of giving them a copy of the Act and the standing orders, which are, I think about 30 pages, we try and summarise it into a little précis of procedures that we can apply. In regards to the requirement for people to submit questions, a lot of questions that we receive are complicated questions, and our preference is to be able to provide a response on the night so that the whole gallery can hear the response. However, if somebody wishes to ask a complicated question off on the fly, on the night, rather than giving it pre-warning, officers, rather than giving maybe inaccurate information, would rather take the question on notice. So what we're trying to do is encourage all people who come to question time to maybe submit their questions in writing so that officers can actually consider their response, give their response on the night so everybody in the gallery can hear it, rather than take it on notice and therefore be recorded in the following minutes, which most people probably don't read if they receive a question on the night. Thank you very much.
Okay, so...
Thank you. It's just so I'll get a response from Mr. CEO also. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Like you, I do take offence at the comment that staff have just whipped these rules up. That is not the case, as you've heard from the Director. But I would also point out that the rules, and there is a date on the rules as well, and I believe that these were in place well before the COVID period and continue to be consistent with what the rules were prior to COVID-19, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay.
Next question, please. Thank you.
So, on the form again, on the public question time form, it states at Rule D, where the presiding member rules that a member of the public is making a statement during public question time, then no answer is required to be given or recorded in response. Conversely, Standing Order 6.210 reads, the presiding member may decide that a question is not to be responded to where, B, it is in the form of a statement, provided that the presiding member has taken all reasonable steps to assist the member of the public to rephrase the statement as a question. So my question to that one, as the public question time form dismisses the person asking the question and the standing orders require the Mayor to take reasonable steps to assist the person rephrase the question, which part of these two opposing situations shows consistency? I've been told that, that the form was put together by the administration, which in my opinion has no standing, and the standing orders have actually been passed by council and gazetted.
Response for you, Director of Corporate and Governance.
Again, thank you, Mr Mayor. This comes to the nub of what I've previously stated. The form that we allow or have put out and compiled is in accordance with the standing orders. It's a synopsis, a short précis form. As your question, which was very complicated to somebody who may not be familiar with both the Public Question Time pro forma form or the Standing Orders or the Local Government Act, has hit the nail on the head. What we're trying to do is when you have complicated questions, we are then able to provide a comprehensive response if they are provided in writing. And that's what we're trying to do, that's why we try and encourage people to submit their questions in writing so that we can give a comprehensive response, but a considered comprehensive response rather than an off-the-cuff comprehensive response. So what we're trying to do is have a synopsis form here of a more detailed document here. There is no conflict between this or this. This is provided to the gallery so that they can understand rather than have to read, like you have over the last 7 years, a good understanding of the standing orders. A lot of people don't have that kind of knowledge, and what we try and do is give them a form which can make it easy for them to read and understand.
CEO wishes to add something too. Just let him go. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I think what is important here is the Director's quite right. It's a summary of Standing Orders, Local Government Act captured in there to provide some guidance for anyone coming to ask a question. But what I would point out is where there's any discrepancy, as you've pointed out perhaps with Rule D, the Standing Orders are what govern this meeting. And the reality is for me, in the 7 and a bit years I've sat here as CEO, I know that the Mayor and the previous Mayor would always allow anyone asking a question who's made a statement to turn that and even help them turn that into a question. So I don't think there's ever been a situation where that Rule D has been applied without previous mayors or this mayor trying to assist the person asking the question to turn that into a question. And I think that will continue into the future. Thank you, Your Worship.
That wasn't in dispute. I was confused by Mr Downing's answer to that because it was not about that particular question that I asked. It was about the previous question.
Next question, please. Thank you.
Right. Parking's becoming a real problem around Belmont, particularly where there are unit blocks and the state government requires less than 1 car bay per unit, while demanding we're shoving people in like sardines to make quotas. It would seem that the sensor parking, which has been introduced in some areas, has proven very successful for particularly, noted by myself, the shopping centre at Epsom Avenue. And I believe the city might be looking at something up in the Springs at the present moment. So my question, will the city look at introducing sensor parking in areas where high-rise are being planned so suburban streets are not turned into parking lots for the state government's ridiculous 0.75 car bays per unit because of the impact it's having on the residents nearby? And can I just have a costing for how much it costs per sensor?
Director of Development and Communities, are you able to answer that or take it on notice?
I'll answer the first part of the question. I'll take the rest of the question on notice, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I think we need to be respectful of the state government's move to ensure housing for everyone. So we have a growing population across the country, and particularly in the state where there's a shortfall of housing to accommodate the growing population, and there's a high pressure in the rental market as well. The planning framework, both at the state government level and at the local planning level, aligns with the demographic data and the census data that we gather. So the average household size in Belmont is under 2.3 persons per dwelling. So accordingly, the dwelling sizes are planned to accommodate that household size. Many of the 3 and 4 bedroom dwellings on quarter-acre blocks that we've seen in previous years are no longer suitable for housing the population, and that's why the state government's approach to ensuring sufficient infill to relieve pressure on the housing market, but also ensure that we're making good, efficient use of infrastructure, because infrastructure costs as well and transport costs is rising and is unsustainable. So that's the reason behind the state government's planning framework to increase housing infill. With regard to parking on the street and the use of parking sensors, the city will continue to monitor the parking situation. It might not be practical to put parking sensors just on informal street side parking, but whenever there's formalized bays in local centers or neighborhood centers where we can track the usage of parking, then the city will certainly consider that. As far as the cost of the parking sensors go, I'll have to take that part of the question on notice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So we're monitoring.
Okay.
Do you have a final question?
Well, just on that topic, the state
your final
government
question?
and governments worldwide, as a matter of fact, are encouraging people now to become multi-families with grandparents, perhaps 2 or 3 singles in together. And most people have got a car, especially in Western Australia. The parking is getting worse. And when we're allowed to have 126 bay shortfall, for instance, that's going to cause huge problems. And I think somebody on this council needs to get a jump ahead. Okay, thank you.
So from that, Director of Development Communities, is there a parking problem in Belmont? Because that's what we're hearing. What's your view? You may need to take it on notice, of course.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer that question. So I know Ms. Hollins refers to a shortfall of 126 car parking bays. That doesn't relate to residential development. That relates to service apartments associated with an existing hotel. And that ratio that the State Development Assessment Panel accepted was based on other similar developments in the area. So those other similar developments haven't shown to have a car parking problem as such. As far as the parking associated with high-density residential, it is very much on a case-to-case basis. The responsibility for householders is that if they buy or if they're renting an apartment with 1 car parking bay, then they should really consider what their car and transport needs are. It shouldn't fall with as the city's responsibility to then provide a car parking bay for a resident if they've consciously made a decision to buy or rent an apartment with parking provision that doesn't suit their needs. So obviously there is pressure in car parking pressure in certain precincts. Parking on the street informally is acceptable to an extent, as long as it doesn't break any of the traffic rules or local laws. But yeah, certainly it varies from precinct to precinct, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Cardoso, your personal questions first. Before we go to you, we might extend public question time. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Davis. Please use the buttons on your screen. Councillor Ryan. Councillor Ryan. Try again. It might be just the button. Yeah. If you just raise your hand, if you support it, thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Martin Cardozo, Redcliffe. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, city officers and members of the public gallery. For the record, all of my questions are circa 1 minute or less. Question 1. Under the standing orders, a person can make a submission or deputation at an agenda briefing forum without prior written notice. Imagine, for example, that at last week's ABF on the brewery application, OCM 12.1, Stephen Carl gave a joint deputation in support of the officer's recommendation to approve, and they spoke for the full 10 minutes allowed. Stephen Carl spoke eloquently, profoundly, and put forward a common sense argument in favour of the brewery. If the in-house minute-taking audio is deleted after 12 months and nothing is recorded in the matrix, then every word of that deputation is gone. No public record, simply nothing. So my question is this. When Council references the ABF matrix for that meeting in the OCM minutes now and into the future, would that matrix contain a single word of what Stephen and Carl actually said, yes or no?
Director of Corporate and Governance.
Can I make a comment first that there was no deputation last week from the brewery man, if I recall correctly?
It's a hypothetical development, hypothetical question.
I don't have a response then.
Hypothetically, if they did make a deputation, would it be on the record?
Director of Corporate and Governance, are you able to answer that? Take it on notice.
No, I can answer it. We only record those deputations and submissions that are submitted in writing, and they form part of the matrix.
CEO has something to add.
Thank you, Worship. I was just about to say exactly what the Director said. Just like public question time, there is an opportunity for the submission form and deputation forms to be completed with the deputation or the submission that they want to make. If that was submitted, then that would form part of the minute. But if they don't do that and only appear without providing that, then, as the Director says, it wouldn't form part of that minute. But that's not to say that that submission or that deputation hasn't been taken into consideration when the Council make the decision the following week. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please.
Thank you. At the May ABF, 5 residents spoke. 3 submissions, including my own, and 2 individuals gave a joint deputation. Almost 20 minutes of community input, probably up to 4,000 words. This stack of paper represents what was spoken on the night, 4,000 words. And this single blank page represents what the ABF matrix records of those contributions. How can the City claim that the ABF matrix and the OCM minutes adopted then and tonight are a full and accurate record when such significant submission contributions are never made public and are not on the public record?
Director of Corporate and Governance.
Look, I can only reiterate what the CEO said, that elected members hear with great interest when members of our community make a deputation or a submission on an item before Council, and they'll take that into account when they make their decision at the following OCM. And it certainly, I think it belittles the argument when you say that they infer that they don't take into account.
I never said that,
Just because
Mr.
they don't
Director.
have a written submission. But this goes back to my earlier point that we request that everybody puts their questions in writing so that they can form part of the minutes. You've just waved a piece of paper in the air saying these are the 4,000 words. Clearly they've been typed and written out. I'm not too sure why they couldn't be submitted, even on a hypothetical basis, so that we could record them in the minutes.
CEO wishes to add something.
Thank you, Worship. I guess I just want to add as well is that the elected members are the ones that ultimately make the decision. And it's important that they are the ones that hear the submissions and the deputations, and they take those submissions and deputations on board during their deliberations the following week at the Council meeting. So it's not the public that ultimately make the decision on whether the brewery, in this hypothetical sense, would proceed or be rejected. The issue here is that it's the Council that makes that decision, and the Council hear those submissions and deputations a week prior, and during the week prior to the Council meeting, they have an opportunity to seek clarification from any staff member, whether it's a planning item or from myself as CEO. But the reality is the elected members are elected. They're the ones that ultimately make the decision, and they hear those submissions firsthand at this meeting or at the agenda briefing forum. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Next question, Martin.
Thank you. Question 3. If the ABF matrix contains none of the words spoken as part of a legitimate submission or deputation, rendering the record incomplete or inaccurate, and the minute-taking audio is deleted after 12 months, does Council accept that adopting the matrix as the record at ordinary council meetings risks non-compliance with the Records Act and the Local Government Act, yes or no?
Director of Corporate and Governance.
I don't think it is in breach of the State Records Act now.
CEO wishes to add something?
Yeah, and I suppose we've had this discussion certainly at a number of meetings over the months. There's no requirement for us to have an agenda briefing forum, and there's no requirement for that meeting to be open to the public, and there is no requirement under the Act for us to record that meeting. So the reality here is I do not believe we'd be in breach of the Act, and the fact that the audio recording is available for 12 months, and the fact that, as we've stated, if submissions and deputations are put in writing, they'll form part of that record. And I would encourage anyone who's doing a submission or a deputation to put those in writing, submit them in ahead of the meeting, because then we need to make sure that they are directly affected by the matter on the agenda, and all of that can happen in advance of the meeting. And I think I would encourage everyone to put things in writing. It would make it a lot easier. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thanks, Mr CEO. Just to clarify, the audio recording is not available to the public, just to clarify that. Question 4. Over recent years and months, I have made multiple submissions and deputations at ABFs. There has never been a requirement to provide them in writing, and like many residents, I often haven't. Sadly, of the thousands of words I've spoken, not a single one appears in the public record, not in the ABF matrix, and not in the OCM minutes. It feels me left feeling let down and undervalued. Mr Mayor, if this was a community scorecard and the question was, do you feel your voice is reflected and valued by the council? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being highly valued and 1 being not valued at all, how would you answer?
I think you've missed the point. When there is a submission, we councillors listen to it carefully, and then we make a vote the following week. So your submission or deputation has been heard. So you may feel that, but it's actually heard.
It's the recording part of it, Mr Mayor.
And then we have, but you're missing the point. The councillors here have heard it. So
no record of it.
It has made it.
There's no record of it. That's okay.
CEO wishes to add something.
Yeah, just to clarify a part of that question. The standing orders at 6.7 state a person directly affected by a matter on the agenda paper and wishing to make a submission to the council is to apply before the meeting to the CEO for approval, or with the approval of the presiding member at the meeting, address the council. So there is quite clear.
The local government allows the community to make submissions.
If I can, I would also.
Sorry, we're not arguing.
No, I'm just clarifying.
The CEO is
yeah.
speaking.
And I would also point to the public submission time and deputation pro forma, which states, please write a brief overview of your submission deputation as clearly and concisely as possible. Remember, there are strict time limits applicable. The presiding member may limit presenters to a shorter period of time if time is restricted. So if a submission or deputation was filled in properly, in accordance with the standing orders and in accordance with this form, it would appear in the minutes of the ABF. However,
there's no Sorry.
Yep, that's. Yep. So all I'm saying is, if you want these captured in the minutes, I would encourage you to put them in writing. If they're in writing, and the same with public question time, if the questions are in writing, we have a better, more time to prepare responses to public question time questions prior to the meeting, rather than taking them on notice. But if we were to follow the standing orders and this pro forma, and things were written out, they would be captured. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question, please.
Okay, my next set of questions. The city, this is on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect. The city has at times described the agenda briefing forum matrix and the OCM minutes as comprehensive, yet when challenged, the response is that they are not verbatim. At the May ABF, 5 residents spoke for almost 20 minutes, yet the matrix only shows names and whether they supported or opposed the agenda item. There is no record of the actual words spoken, not a single word. That is not only misleading to the community and dismissive of residents' contributions, but it also raises a serious compliance issue. Given the State Records Act requires comprehensive and accurate records, how can the city justify calling this comprehensive?
Director of Corporate Governance, it's alleged that it's a serious compliance issue. Could I have your...
I think this question has already been asked and answered in Mr Cardozo's previous 4 questions. As the CEO has indicated, if they are to be recorded in the minutes, they need to be submitted in writing. And certainly I believe most of them are pre-written already when they made those submissions. So they certainly
Again, we're referring to the ABF, Mr Downing.
But I think the ABF, they can easily be submitted in writing to us. More importantly, the CEO is right. We are not required to record verbatim the 4,000 words, but I think what's important is the elected members do listen to the submissions made by concerned community members, and they make the decisions based on what they hear from the community, not what they read from the community.
Okay.
Next question, please, Mr Cardozo.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The CEO and Director of Governance have often noted that not all local governments open their agenda briefing forums to the public, a point that risks downplaying the importance of public access as a core part of transparency. That undertone leaves residents concerned that if transparency is pushed further, public access might be withdrawn. Has there been any formal or informal discussion within the administration or council about closing ABFs to the public, yes or no?
Director of Corporate and Governance.
There's certainly been discussions about a whole range of issues concerning governance, but when those discussions are held, they're confidential and we don't release what they're saying.
That was a pretty straightforward question.
Mr CEO will add something.
Thank you, Worship. Again, we seem to be going round and round on this matter and have done for a number of months. The reality is Council has resolved its position on agenda briefing forums and ordinary Council meetings. They did that some months ago as part of local government reform. So the position of this Council is that agenda briefings continue in this manner and OCMs continue to be live streamed and recorded. And until a formal decision is made by this Council to change that, then the status quo remains. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please. Thank you.
Mr Mayor, can I make a comment, please? Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Director of Corporate Governance.
Look, I can only reiterate what the CEO said, is that we are in compliance with the Local Government Act. Full stop. We comply with the Local Government Act.
Thank you.
That's great.
Oh, sorry, the Manager of Governance and Legal wishes to add something.
Thank you, Worship. And just to add further, if I may, Mr Mayor, to the comments made there by the Director of Corporate Governance, insofar as concerns about our compliance with the State Records Act, we do comply with the State Records Act as we are required to do, and specifically the General Disposal Authority that relates to meetings and records of this type. We are, hence the 12-month requirement for us to keep the recordings, and we abide by that particular GDA. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you very much. Next question, please, Mr Cardozo.
Great, thank you. Question 3. At the last public question time, the city presented a benchmarking table. That table showed that of the 23 Tier 1 local governments, about half open their agenda briefing forums to the public. Nearly all of the others classify them as meetings that are either live streamed or audio recorded for transparency and accountability. Notwithstanding any grey area around definitions and noting that Bayswater was incorrectly listed as not live streaming when in fact they do live stream their ABFs on YouTube, the reality is clear. Belmont now stands in isolation. It is the only Tier 1 local government that opens its doors for an ABF but does not live stream or provide a public audio recording. Does the city acknowledge this?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I guess I will acknowledge it because that's the facts. But as you say, there's at least half of them who don't open their doors at all. So yes, I'll acknowledge that. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you.
And your last question, please.
Thank you. At the annual electors meeting earlier this year, residents unanimously supported a motion to turn the cameras on for agenda briefing forums, yet council recently voted against even debating the idea. At ABFs and annual electors meetings, residents speak, share ideas and contribute to a better Belmont. But if they attend without prior notice, which they are fully entitled to do, none of their actual words are captured in the public record. The city may believe it's compliant, but compliance is only the bare minimum. The real test is whether residents feel engaged, heard and valued. Mr Mayor, how can residents possibly feel valued when their words are ignored and erased, even after voting unanimously for live streaming? Why is it so difficult for Belmont to turn on the cameras that ratepayers have already paid for, a step that would solve potential compliance issues and bring Belmont into line with its Tier 1 peers?
I can tell you that we're not in compliance. We are in compliance. You've heard that. And it was a council decision, and I will stick by the council decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr Russell.
Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, staff and fellow members of the public gallery. My name is Matt Russell of Kewdale. My first question is, did the city submit feedback on communication agreements for local council members and CEOs to the Department of Local Government without bringing it to a vote of council?
Mr CEO?
I may defer that to the Director of Corporate and Governance, but I'll certainly add something towards the end. Thank you.
Director of Corporate and Governance?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes.
Question?
My second question is there enough parking within the Faulkner Park precinct for staff?
Mr CEO?
I believe there is, but I may defer this to the Director of Development and Communities, who has undertaken a survey recently. Thank you, Your Worship.
Director of Development and Communities?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, from memory, there are over 400 bays in the precinct, and a parking study was done, and the peak usage rate is just over 80%, and that includes parking used by staff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Your next question?
My third question is, in approving the glasshouse refurbishment works costing approximately $1.5 million in 2021 using both federal and city funds, did the city indicate that revenue from hiring the venue would help offset these costs? And if so, what income has been realised to date?
Director of Corporate and Governance, you able to answer that?
Could I ask Mr Russell to repeat the question, please?
Could you repeat that question? Thank you.
Sure. In approving the glasshouse refurbishment works costing approximately $1.5 million in 2021 using both federal and city funds, did the city indicate that revenue from hiring the venue would help offset costs? And if so, what income has been realised to date?
Director of Corporate and Governance, before I go to the CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I believe, since I wasn't here in 2021, but I believe the answer is yes. The intention to date, I don't believe we've received any income. Our intention is to make that facility available, but we've had a few hiccups between completion and now, but we certainly use the facility, as you know, for the Arts Award and a whole range of other facilities or functions, but the intention is to have that available, on one of which issues, parking, which the Director has just talked about, has hopefully been resolved, and we can move that forward in the next period of time.
The CEO wishes to add something?
Yeah, I'll just add that certainly my understanding was the bulk of that was from the federal government through their infrastructure fund that was occurred. There is at some point in the future intention to hire that facility out. You heard the Director talk about 80% at peak. That's fine during the day here, but if we include that in with an event, if we were hosting, which can hold over 400 people, you can appreciate how the complexity of the parking issues that may happen if that was happening during the day. But at some point, we are currently reviewing when we'll be able to look at hiring the facility, and certainly any revenue raised from hiring the facility would offset the expenditure. Thank you, Your Worship.
Final question? Great.
My final question is, why is it called an agenda briefing for a matrix and not an agenda briefing for a minute?
Mr. CEO?
I may need to take that on notice because for the life of me, and while I worked here previously from 2002 to 2008, I think it's always been called an agenda briefing matrix. So I would need to take that on notice to try and figure out why it was a matrix and not minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, can I help? Yes?
Yeah, I'm very sorry. My name is Ali. Sorry to disrupt your meeting. I came in to ask for CEO. I need to talk to him for something important.
I'm sorry, would you like to come to the mic? If you wish to ask a question?
The question I want the CEO.
Please, could you please come to the mic so we can all hear you? Just come to the microphone. There you go.
My name is Ali. I come in here. I'm sorry to disrupt your meeting. I come for something different. I'm asking to meet the CEO to talk to him because I have problem with the reception. And last time I talked to Bernie, he understand my problem. I need the CEO to find me solution for my problem, please.
Okay, so could the governance officer there get the details for Ali, and then the CEO will make contact with you this week. Would that be okay?
Thank you so much.
Right. We'll just get your details
Yes.
for the CEO.
I'm very sorry to disrupt your meeting.
Thank
I
you.
misunderstand the rule.
Thank you. Yes, sir? You want to ask a question? Okay, go ahead. State your name and the suburb only.
Okay, my name is Orlando Morales from Cloverdale. I've been in Cloverdale for only 34 years or 34 and a half years. And I got a parking ticket, which one is, we're talking about 2 years ago, in 2023. This month is going to be 2 years, argue for the same ticket, which one I refused to pay. And I say, I've been the same place. My youth has been parking in the same place. I'm not going to pay that ticket. The ticket, it was 90 bucks or 75 bucks. Now the ticket is 1,050. My driving license is being suspended because I refused to pay the ticket. Now, so I don't know, maybe I come in too late. I should have come in early asking because I've been in the same place. So when I park my car, there is no footpath, no, for pedestrian. So I've been in the same corner for 35 years, 34 and a half. And the gentleman there, he know the case. I raised the case with him. And with you, Mayor, too, I've been done it too. So what is the right channel to sort it out, that ticket?
Director of Corporate Governance, is this under your area? No? Under Wilmot. It's under Director of Development Communities. Are you able to make contact with the gentleman and help him in some way? Go ahead, please.
All right.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So when an infringement is issued, it includes instructions as to the options that the vehicle owner has as far as either paying the infringement or options to have it heard before a magistrate. So my advice at this point is that Mr. Morales would need to re-look at the instructions and consider whether he wants to pay that infringement or take it before the magistrate. But I'm happy to take Mr. Morales' details and provide a further explanation to what his options are at this point. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you'll make contact with Mr. Morales tomorrow, or this week?
Thank you very much, sir.
You just move to the side.
Yeah, thank you.
Director will get your details. Thank you very much. It is now 7:25, and we close public question time. August 2025. Are there any questions on the matrix, please? I need a move and a second to receive the matrix. Moved by Councillor Davis, second by Councillor Sessions. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Ryan? Oh, it's working now. Carry unanimously. Thank you. Ordinary Council meeting held on the 22nd of July 2025. Are there any questions on the minutes? May I have a move and a seconder to confirm the minutes as true and accurate? Moved by Councillor Sekula, seconded by Councillor Skujitsky. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Carried unanimously. Seven, questions by members of which due notice has been given. There are none. Response to questions taken on notice. There are none. Questions by members without notice. Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. I have a question regarding the audits that we're considering tonight, but not specifically about each one item, so I was hoping to ask that now. In the consolidated assurance map, I can't find where we audit customer service. So can I get which audit covers our customer inquiry responses to ensure that we are meeting the deadlines in our customer service charter, like ensuring that responses to inquiries are done within 10 working days? And were there any actions from the most recent audit in this area? Thank you.
So there's two questions. Go first to the Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Worship. The consolidated assurance map, which is contained within the agenda, is a higher level overview of the audits. It indicates which departments will be audited, and also talks about compliance audit returns and SGS and other audits for quality assurance and the like. So any audit of customer service would not form part of the consolidated assurance map. It would form part of the internal audit plan that we have. Now, the internal audit plan was adopted by Council in December 2024, and there's not a requirement in the current audit plan to include customer service and the customer service charter. And what I would say is that as we come to review the next internal audit plan for adoption, I'm happy to consider the inclusion of that in the internal audit plan.
Director of Corporate Governance, do you wish to add something?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to add that just to ratify the CEO's comments that it's not part of the current internal audit plan, but it is, for the record, a key metric that both the CEO and the executive leadership team monitor on a monthly basis at its meetings. And of the 8,000 customer requests, 96.39% have been complied with within the customer charter of response times. Yes, that of that 8,000, that's about 240 that fall within outside of that time frame. And we are certainly constantly reminding all staff that they should respond. We believe that a lot of that work has been completed, but we remind staff that the ratepayers and customers certainly want to know when the work has been completed, not just to see the work completed.
Thank you. No further questions? No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody else? No, we'll move on then. New business of an urgent nature approved by the presiding member or by decision. Is there any new business of urgent nature? None? No. Business adjourned from the previous meeting. There's none. Reports of committees. The Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee held on the 28th of July 2025. Are there any other questions on the minutes? No. Need a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Sakula, seconded by Councillor Kulczycki. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Sakula, thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you. We now move to reports of administration. Withdrawn items. Are there any items to be withdrawn? I'll go through each one. 12.1, 12.2, Councillor Sessions. 12.3, Internal Audit Report. No. 2025-2026 Consolidated Assurance Map. 12.5, Accounts for Payments for July this year. 12.6, Monthly Financial Report for July of this year. And I did not give the formal names of 12.1, Development Application for Use Not Listed, Brewery at 159 Abernathy Road, Belmont, and 12.2, which was withdrawn by Council Sessions, was the Community Safety Strategy, 2025-2030. So at the moment, we only have 12.2. So, may I have a move and a second to adopt the balance of the reports en bloc with the exception of items 12.2. Need a mover, Councillor Davis, seconded by Councillor Harris. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Carry unanimously. For those people present in the gallery, please note that those items that have not been withdrawn have now been adopted by Council. You are welcome to stay and observe the remainder of tonight's proceedings, or you may wish to leave when convenient. As outlined previously, please do not rely on any Council's decision until formal notification has been received in writing. Thank you so much. We now move to 12.2. I need a seconder. Councillor Kulczycki. Moved by Councillor Sessions. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Sessions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. This is to move your alternative motion. So could we please get that on the screen?
Davis?
I have a question regarding your 1.A. I have a question in relation to your motion.
Right. We'll just go straight to the question then while we've got that up on the screen. Then I'll go to the mover to speak. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, it says here, provide a council budget for enhancing home and property security through council subsidies towards eligible security devices. So what actually were you looking at in a budget, and what sort of security devices were you looking at? Because if you have a WA seniors card, you can a household can get up to $400 per security rebate, and also the City of Belmont already offer free alarm padlocks, 2 free window shock alarms, and a personal safety alarm. So what ballpark figure were you looking at, and how were you going to do this?
First of all, this is a strategy, so we haven't broken that down. But if you scroll down we could scroll right down to the reasons, and there are some of the things that are listed, because obviously while the seniors might get a rebate, the ordinary resident out there won't get that rebate. So there's some of the things I've based on what other councils give out. But again, we can't go to that detail because it's only a strategy. That'll be coming afterwards and will have to come back to us.
Are you saying this bit here, investigate other devices such as alarm and CCTV systems?
No.
Where you say go down, what are you talking about?
Under reasons, it's got here, through measures such as door deadlocks, secure letterboxes, which is locks, sensor lights, security doors, security window screens and shutters, video doorbells, among others. They're just some of the suggestions.
Right. And also, can we include, we have 40% of rentals in the City of Belmont, so possibly it could be based on not so much just a person rather than, I don't know how we would do it, but if you're renting on your own, you could be eligible to be part of this rebate, possibly.
I think that's all part of the investigation. We'll come back. That's why it won't happen till next year's financial budget, so we can get it right. I like that idea, but that's not what we can't vote on that tonight because this is just purely a strategy. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Any other further questions before we go straight to the mover? Back to the mover. Over to you.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. Community safety is the most frequently raised concern from residents. I hear about it weekly, actually often daily. It's also one of the most complex challenges we face, requiring genuine collaboration across all levels of government and support services. I want to commend our crime prevention and safety team for developing this strategy. I truly appreciate the effort, thought and flexibility they've shown throughout the process. This is a comprehensive and well-considered strategy, and I believe one that we can all take pride in. Crime prevention and community safety are what first sparked my interest in serving on council. Year after year, it remains the top priority identified by our residents and in the annual community survey. I understand that public-facing CCTV cameras raise valid concerns for both the city and our residents. If offering CCTV rebates presents a risk to the city, then I believe we should consider alternative options, such as rebates for other safety measures like crimp-safe screen doors, sensor lights, high-quality padlocks and deadbolts. I strongly support further investigation into this as outlined in item 1A of Mayor Rossi's alternative motion. Part B of Mayor Rossi's motion, the idea of community champions is great. I believe we already have many individuals quietly fulfilling this role within our neighbourhoods. Combining this concept with a refresh of the current Community Safety Alliance could be a powerful step forward. We could trial a travelling community safety pop-up rotating through different locations each fortnight. I understand this would need thorough investigation before implementation, but I believe it holds real value. We should never underestimate the impact of bringing people together, listening to their concerns, and making sure their voices are heard. That connection is at the heart of real community safety. Point C is broad, but in a good way. It really highlights what's currently missing. Our team is doing a fantastic job, but the message isn't reaching the wider community. I often speak with residents about the free home security appraisals, and many of them have never heard of them. There's a lot of potential in this space, which allows for creativity and fresh ideas. It's an opportunity to better communicate the great work already being done and to expand our reach. I first raised the idea of security rebates back in 2022 during an information forum where we received a very thorough and informative presentation on the topic. I hope moving forward we can revisit this in a similar format, perhaps even including a dedicated councillor workshop. Crime prevention and community safety remain major concerns for our residents, and it's clear that we need to continue exploring proactive and practical ways to do more in this space. Part of doing more may simply involve improving communication with our residents, for example, sharing how many video captures by our community watch team have led to arrests, as well as providing clear guidance on who to contact and when. Currently, the process is complicated for many, which discourages reporting. Can we produce something that helps simplify it? Can we discuss reporting methods with police so we can feed back to the residents what works, how it works, and why it works? This transparency could engage greater community participation and trust. I'd also like to touch on the advocacy pillar in the strategy, in particular to points 4.6 and 4.7, and beg our state government to consider the safety and amenity of all residents in the planning decisions that they make. Increased traffic, decreased parking, and ineffectively managed state housing blocks do not make for a safe and livable city for anyone. We must continue to make noise about what makes our neighbourhood unsafe and what other tiers of government can do to support us. Thank you.
Seconder wish to speak?
Yes, thank you,
Go ahead,
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wojcicki.
Thank you. Safety and crime remains one of the highest ranked priorities to address amongst ratepayers and residents. This strategy and enhancement provided by the alternative motion sets a sound direction for the city to deliver on this high priority concern. The concern amongst the community is clearly evidenced in the market community perception scorecard, which ranks safety and crime prevention the top priority, followed by street lighting improvements, and thirdly by improvements needed to streetscapes, trees and verges. This is a holistic strategy that targets all three of these priorities and sets the groundwork for pragmatic delivery of community safety initiatives that a city can provide. Moreover, the strategy promotes personal responsibility, ensuring individuals and leaders in our community can better address safety in novel ways not previously encouraged by the city. Notwithstanding, the community ought to be aware that this strategy addresses discretionary ways to tackle safety. Law and order remains the primary responsibility of the state government via the police and related agencies. Everyone, be they councillors or members of the community, have a personal responsibility to use their agency to demand their fair share of resourcing of our community and what we deserve. Ratepayers ought not to be supplementing through their rates the cost of policing. An important component of this strategy is a commitment to undertake a review of the Belmont Community Watch Service. One of the #1 complaints I hear when engaging with ratepayers and residents is the quality of the service delivery and the purpose of this resource. Why are they replicating the work of the police? Why do they do nothing when a crime is being committed? Why are they not reporting issues that detract from the amenity of the city? Why is there difficulty in reporting things via the telephone? I have previously approached a CEO regarding these matters to see how these questions, amongst others, could be addressed operationally. A comprehensive review of the service is needed, and it is excellent that management acknowledge there's a need for improvement in this realm. The feedback provided in attachment 12.2.2 is very telling. It clearly articulates where residents and ratepayers think the Belmont Community Watch Service is not delivering for them and the frustrations they have had observing from their homes. A review can assist Council in monitoring performance and addressing these concerns through this important strategy action. The City has undergone a thorough review through the development of the strategy. It has been community-driven and responsive to feedback delivered during the extensive consultation period. Management has done well to ensure transparent information delivery to elected members via the engagement report at attachment 12.2.2 and for anyone else in our community interested in this topic through this public agenda paper. I encourage Council to support this alternative motion. The draft strategy and the enhancements provided through this alternative motion sets the tone for a new direction on safety. We cannot persist with a strategy that is not working to its full potential. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Davis.
The wrong one. I'll speak for the strategy and your motion. I always have felt the City of Belmont have always gone above and beyond, even before I was on council, have always gone above and beyond for community safety. And I think the 24-hour community watch is a prime example of that. It's picking up, not so much picking up the pieces of the state government, but working together with the state government and at the heart of the community, because I know my husband used to work away a lot and I was at home with 2 small children, and I phoned them a few times and that straight away they would be there. So I felt very safe having them around. But yeah, I do feel that the biggest issues right now for me that I get from the community is safety, mental health, housing and substance abuse, and you just see it when you're walking around as well. And often, well, we are left picking up the pieces. Local government, we get a lot of the brunt and the blame for it, and it's a much deeper issue than what you're just seeing on the streets. So You look at the community safety, we're all working together, all tiers of government, trying to better the community, but there are some deep-rooted issues there, and I'd say one of them is health. There's a massive health issue out there that is affecting people's safety. So yeah, anyway, I'm very much support this safety strategy, and I think the City of Belmont are working above and beyond to assist the state and federal government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Harris, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also speaking in support of this motion and the amendments made. Community feedback on the issue of safety in Belmont has been clear and consistent, encouraging us to do more to ensure residents feel safe at home and throughout Belmont. I think this strategy does have those good ideas that we need and approaches to address issues over the coming years, and that the alternative motion, as moved by Councillor Sessions, is a reasonable addition. Some residents, myself included, have had issues with home security. Mine was due to a break-in while out of town, which may be a similar reason why nearly 40% of residents report that they do not feel safe at home. Providing some assistance, if equitably distributed and responsibly managed, can help with this. I look forward, if this motion passes, to seeing what budgetary options there are and how best to implement those ideas. I'm especially excited by our intent to improve our public spaces, not necessarily by filling them with CCTV cameras, but by making them more pleasant places to spend time. The parks team, planning team, place activation and more all have parts to play here in bringing the community together and encouraging people not just to stop by at the shops, but to linger, spend time, meet friends, and to strengthen the community. This encourages a sense of ownership over our public places and results in more people being around. The concept is called passive surveillance, which discourages antisocial behaviour more effectively than fleets of cold judging cameras that make many feel unwelcome in public spaces. I look forward to the review of the Community Watch Service, as discussed by Councillor Kulczycki, and share many of those concerns. But I also commend the steps forward taken in the reporting section of this strategy and the efforts to give participants a chance to give feedback on the resulting document. I think that is an important way to close the loop on our consultation process. Overall, I'm confident that this strategy can pave the way for a public space that becomes not just more safe, but more welcoming and more vibrant. I support the strategy and the edits moved by Councillor Sessions and written by the Mayor. Thank you.
To this side, anybody wishes to speak for or against? No? Okay, then I will speak. Firstly, I wish to acknowledge our outstanding crime prevention team here in Belmont. Our officers Shane, Hubbard and Megan work tirelessly to support and empower our residents, always working hand in hand with local police to keep our community safe. It's also important to acknowledge keeping our community safe isn't just the city's job. It's a team effort with our residents and the police. My alternative motion for you builds on our crime prevention team's efforts, giving them even more tools to counter crime and antisocial behaviour, while making sure this support reaches those who need it most. With a large presence of rental properties in Belmont, many residents simply do not have the same opportunities as homeowners to invest in added security. And I think that's what you mentioned, Councillor Davis. Residents often tell me they understand our limits, but welcome any help we can provide. By providing council subsidies towards eligible security devices, we can make sure that tenants, as well as homeowners, have access to safer living environments. With closed-circuit TV being contentious, I've not included it at this stage, but have instead said that we investigate. I believe that sooner or later it will happen here, of course with the appropriate safeguards in place. The benefits of this initiative will flow right across our community. Subsidised security devices not only deter crime and antisocial behaviour, but they also help build confidence in our neighbourhoods, support families and protect the vulnerable. I also believe we need community champions out in our neighbourhoods, promoting what's available, just like Neighbourhood Watch did at its peak. While the Alliance exists, it hasn't reached its full potential. We need people engaging with residents, spreading the word and feeding back to Council. Of course, this requires proper resourcing, which is why, if passed tonight, this initiative will start in the 2026-2027 budget period, giving our officers the time and resources they need to make it work. For property owners, this adds value and reassurance that their homes are cared for. For tenants, it provides protection that they may otherwise struggle to afford. Together, this initiative strengthens Belmont as a safer, more connected community for all. Thank you. Back to the mover.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. In closing, just regarding the Community Watch vehicles, I understand they've received some criticism. However, I'd like to highlight that during our recent community safety engagement, 74% of the respondents were women and the majority strongly supported the service. While it's true the drivers don't have power of arrest, the value of the service lies in the sense of safety it provides. And touching on what Councillor Davies said, many women in our community across all age groups actively use the service because it helps them feel more secure. I can't speak for every woman, but I can share that I personally remain constantly aware of my surroundings, watching where I walk, noticing who's nearby, and always thinking about an exit. That persistent sense of caution, often driven by fear, is a common feeling for many in our community and is neither comfortable nor safe. Knowing that Community Watch is only a phone call away offers reassurance and a much-needed layer of support. Feeling safe in our homes, our workplace and our community changes everything, and this strategy shows the city's commitment to achieve this. And for that reason, I ask my fellow councillors to support this with Mayor Rossi's amendments. Thank you.
Voting is now open on your screen. Councillor Wright, carry unanimously. Thank you. We move to 13.1, reports by the Chief Executive Officer. Are there any requests for leave of absence? There are none. There are no notice of motions. Matters of which the meeting may be closed. I will now close the meeting in accordance with section 5.232C of the Local Government Act of 1995. May I have a move and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Sessions. Voting is on your screen. Please use voting on the screen. Thank you. Carried unanimously. Would the IT officer please pause the live stream? With those in the public gallery, please depart the chamber. Of course, it will be open afterwards if you wish to come back. As we start the live stream and it's ready to go, I now invite the public back into the gallery, into the meeting, gallery and meeting. We'll just wait for them to come in. Can I remind everybody that live streaming is now back on? I wish to state 14.1 that Council, for the tender 0.5 2025 provision of road reserve mowing services, including blocks and sumps, that Council accepts the officer recommendation in relation to this item. Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Davis. Carried unanimously. There being no further business to conduct, I thank all those in attendance and close the meeting at 7:56 p.m. Again, just a reminder that all elected members please return all confidential documents to the box in the foyer of the councillors' entrance here at the Civic Centre. Thank you very much.